Kate, Laura, thank you so much for joining us on Inside The Hive tonight. Great to have you here with us. We're going to talk lots about Women of Watford this evening, but first of all, I want to kick off by chatting about your journeys and your supporter history of being a Watford fan. So, Kate, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I started coming to Watford games back in 1999, so Watford had been promoted to the Premiership. My brother was a massive Newcastle fan at the time, so we came so he could see Alan Shearer. That has changed over over the last 20 or something years, and now, diehard Watford fans, all of us.
Amazing. Yeah, how about for you?
So my first match was in 1973, and I came with my dad, and I feel very fortunate that I started coming to Watford just before the first GT era. So it was just an amazing, amazing experience. And, you know, so I've seen Watford in all 4 divisions. And yeah, I'm still here.
Amazing. I'm very envious of that you got to see the GT era. That would have been amazing to witness.
The lines on my face.
No, definitely not. Right, okay, let's talk about experience as supporters then, because it's changed massively through the great work you're doing, and it's changed massively over the last few years. The more we see women's football and the whole stories and the narrative of how the world is changing in such a positive way. How has the experience for you attending match days changed from your first experience to now?
Yeah. I think when I was first coming at the age of 9, I was less passionate than my family, and I think part of that was just not really seeing a space for me. Just from walking into the stadium, it was a male stadium announcer. It's 22 men running around on a pitch. There's nothing really advertising that there is a women's team, let alone how to get involved with that. So it was just very, very male oriented. I think over the last couple of years especially, the club have been doing some amazing work, you know, including women in the kit launch videos, for example, just to show that there are women involved in Watford as well, and that's really, really important. So I think back to, you know, the little Kates that are coming today at 9 years old, actually how amazing that is. So yeah, I feel a lot more included and a lot more like I'm wanted here.
And how about for you, Laura?
I think that Watford is very unique, and even in the 70s and 80s, it was a family club. There were lots of kids and there were lots of women. And I came here during the hooligan years of the 80s, and to be honest, I never felt threatened in Vicarage Road. I don't know if I was just not aware of what was going on or whatever, and I think that's real credit to Watford Football Club. I think as I got older, then I started going to away matches, and generally it's fine, but there are occasions where I do feel ill at ease. But I think Watford is really special, and it has always been in terms of welcoming women and children.
I guess we've been really lucky, haven't we? Because only a couple of weeks ago, with the renaming of the family stand for Anne Swanson, you know, to have a lady like Anne involved in the club for such a long period as well. That she's almost like trend setting the right word, paving the way, wasn't she? Really,
she really was, and what a great tribute to an amazing lady, the original Woman of Watford.
No, 100%.
Really.
Let's talk about Women of Watford then, because the whole idea kind of spawned about 12 months ago, and Kate, obviously you were on Hive Live at that point.
Yeah, it's kind of slightly bananas to think that it's been a whole year since that conversation. But yes, I appeared on Hive Live with 2 other female fans who are also heavily involved with Women of Watford FC. And I guess the point at the time was just to talk about the experiences of being a female fan, what's changed, what hasn't changed, has there been progress, what more progress is there to make? And so it was trying to find that balance, trying to keep it really positive, but also actually acknowledging that we do still have a way to go. And then I don't know if you remember, but this time last year also there was then the Sarah Everard tragedy, which was a really heavy week. And I found it really quite frustrating. How am I still talking about this? You know, I'm 30 years old. How is this still an issue? And why am I talking and not doing? And so actually, because I was in touch with the club anyway, through the Hive Live appearance, it's like, okay, let's do something. Let's make football safer for women. Let's start there and actually, in the process, create a community of female fans, which has been the sort of a really lovely side effect.
Yeah. And how did you get involved, Laura?
Well, when I first read about Women of Watford, I was really excited about it. So I think I was an early adopter.
You really were, yeah.
And great credit to Kate and what she's done. And it's great to have a community of women that we can talk about our shared obsession with Watford Football Club, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter, or we've had a couple of socials, and that's been really, really great. And also now that the club is kindly doing block bookings for away matches, that's just brilliant. Yeah. Going to away match and sitting with a group of women supporters is fantastic, and we're getting to know people. And I think when you come to a club, you tend to know the people immediately around you. But I've never sort of really known other Watford fans unless you've met them through work or sort of socially or whatever. But to have that sense of community, we've realised that actually we're crying out for that. So well done, great kudos to Kate.
And we were chatting just before we came on air with this and saying how quickly it's grown and how much it's escalated, and sometimes that's because these things are needed.
Yeah, I think, like I say, I went into it so naively, just thinking, maybe 50 people will want this. And it's quite scary as well, just being that person to put your head above the parapet and going, I feel like this is an issue. Does anybody else feel the same? And so the fact that the response has just been so instant and so passionate is, it's really something special. And I'm really excited to see where it can go in the future as well.
Well, you mentioned obviously going to those away games. Was it something that always kind of put you off going to away games because of, that the atmosphere that maybe wasn't as welcoming as kind of we're creating here at Watford?
Well, as I say, a lot of away games I haven't had a problem with, but there have been a few. But it's just really great. It's an enhancement to go and feel that sense of that sense of community and that sense of security. One thing that happened when we went to Brentford away was actually you met people in the pub and we all walked to the ground together. So that was really good. And it's just that feeling of going to a away match, knowing you're going to be sat with a group of women, some of whom you know now if you've been going to quite a few, and that's a real positive.
And I guess that community thing's a real important side of it, isn't it, as well, because everyone's got a different background, everyone's got a different story for the reason why they support a club, the reason why they come to football and why football's important to them. So I guess that must be one of the core key aims of that, is just really kind of being there to support each other as well as enjoying the football.
Yeah, I think female friendship is not to be underrated or underestimated. I don't know if it was similar for you, but growing up, I always felt pitted against other women. That was something I was seeing in the media constantly. I went to an all-girls school and we were always competing against one another. I would read a magazine, it's who wore it better, this woman or this woman, and rivalries. And that's not what it should be about. And so actually to have this community encouraging women to be friends. It sounds really sort of, but actually that's what it is. And now I have new friends who support Watford, which is just brilliant.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, no, it's really, really brilliant to have that sense of community. And I think, we're opening up to people that we didn't really think about, when we started. So, for example, we have a couple of single moms whose kids are fanatical Watford supporters. They come to Vicarage Road, but the mums were nervous about going to away matches. And certainly one of them has come to 2 away matches with her son. And she said she wouldn't have come without Women of Watford. And I think that's a fantastic endorsement that we're making football and supporting Watford accessible to more people.
No, it's a great testament to what you've been doing. So I mentioned that community kind of aspect of it being is one of the aims. What else would you say are the aims of what you're trying to achieve with the group?
Yeah, I think empowering future of female fans. And I want to say just within Watford, but actually looking a little bit beyond. And, we are one of three female supporters groups in the whole of the football leagues. We're the only Premier League group of this kind. So to have other female supporters groups popping up at other clubs would be really, really exciting. encourage and I guess promote a more diverse fan base as well would be something that's I think really important to me.
We're not trying to undermine the traditional fan base of football clubs, and we're not trying to undermine people's enjoyment of going to away matches, for example. We're just trying to make ours better.
No, completely. I think that's something that some people get confused of, doesn't it? Some people feel threatened, but it's not actually a threat at all. It's actually just creating an environment for fans to feel comfortable and be able to access it, which is really important. That kind of leads on quite nicely to the next question, really, of how it's been received. Has the perception changed? Because, whenever you launch something new, there's always pushback from someone, especially on social media. But I've only really seen positive things about what you're trying to do, which is great. And hopefully that's all you've seen as well. But what has the reception been?
Yeah, I would say overwhelmingly positive, to the point where I'm sort of like, is Twitter just not letting me see any negative stuff? Again, I think it just really shows how much there was a need for this, and actually women maybe are feeling a little bit forgotten out in this football world, and so finally I've got the chance to tell my story, and I've got the chance to bond with others. And
we've got a huge number of male supporters as well, and that's really brilliant.
Yeah, and generally, if we do ever get anything negative on social media, we don't tend to reply. But actually the people who do are those male allies, and I think that's really, really important. So thank you to those people.
I was going to ask that as well, like on a match day when you're travelling to the games, obviously the whole Watford family, obviously you share what you're up to with those fans as well, those more traditional audience that you would presume that goes to away games. You're having that chance to interact, and how are they receiving it and sharing stories and seeing you all there at the away games and the home games as well, of course?
Yeah, I think so. When we went to the Brentford game, which was our first block booking together, there was a comment actually from one of the Brentford stewards as we walked through security. They're like, "Oh look, mothers," and I do think, would you say that if you saw fathers and sons going to the football together? So it's sort of just challenging what we consider to be normal, because actually when we go as a group of women, we are one of very few groups of women going to the football together. So let's normalise that. Let's make going to the football with your girlfriends a normal thing that you see in stadiums everywhere.
And what was great, at the Villa game, for example, we had people contacting us via social media who were going to the match, weren't sat with us, but wanted to come and say hello. Yeah. So that was really great.
Nice. That's really good. That's such a positive impact already. Obviously, there are stereotypes and opinions, obviously, around women's football. And how good is it for you to see those changing? We see the WSL on TV all the time now. The conversation about women's sport, women in football, fans, players, is changing rapidly. How much does it mean to you guys to kind of see that and be part of that journey?
Yeah, it's huge. I think representation really matters. You can't be what you can't see. And I think that's something that would have really mattered, or did really matter, to 9-year-old Kate walking into Vicarage Road all those years ago.
I think the TV exposure of women's football matches has been huge. I think it makes a huge difference. And I think with the Euros coming up this summer, that will also see a boost as well.
Yeah, and having the women's team here as well, it's been great to see them play a few games at Vicarage Road. It's been amazing, hasn't it? It's just so good.
That's actually, so the first time WOW met as a group was to go and see, what was it, Watford? Liverpool, here at Vicarage Road. And that was really cool, women supporting women.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously you mentioned the TV exposure of the game, but obviously some TV exposure for yourselves as well. Talk us through that. Yeah,
we were on Football Focus. That was huge. I think I keep going back to it, but I think it's just showing actually how important it is to sort of be getting this message out, and how female fans have been feeling over the past few years, what we have had to put up with at all levels, going from non-league to Premier League, and the fact that there are TV companies out there that want to shine a light on this, just really shows that. And I think it's also then, from a fan's point of view, it's actually showing that, yes, you do matter as well. You have a seat at this table and you are worthy of it. And
I also think it's important now we're seeing female TV presenters and pundits on football. And again, that's been huge in the last really sort of 3 or 4 years, I would say. There's, the increased number, and that's all about representation as well.
No, completely. obviously you're getting that exposure on television, you're getting that exposure around the club, but obviously people participating is really important. We're going to see a little bit of a clip a little bit later on in the show of your interview with Christian Cabaselli, but having that support from the first team, from the club as a whole, and obviously people in the industry as well, you know, obviously some famous Watford fans that have been involved with, I think a couple of them came to the Brentford game as well. Like, how important is that for you?
Oh, it's huge. It's just really cool. Yeah, so we've had Kelly Summers and Emma Saunders, who both are really, really keen to be really, really involved with WOW. Cabaselli said he's going to support us. So I think then just in terms of raising awareness, we're able to reach more people. We did have somebody request to join our Facebook group the other day who she doesn't actually support a team yet. She got interested in football from watching the Euros last year and has just been looking for a team and has found our group through the TV exposure. So.
And I think it's really important to stress that right from the start, the club has been amazingly supportive. To be honest, that didn't surprise me because we're that sort of club.
Yeah,
but you know, don't take it for granted. And things like the block bookings for away matches. You know, the first one was in December, and really the group was formed in sort of June. So they've been brilliant as well.
We need to get that fan a scarf in the post.
Yeah, quick.
Don't give any other club a chance to get in there. Get a scarf in the post.
Yeah.
Where do you see Women of Watford going? Because obviously it's still early days. It's been an amazing trajectory so far. There's still so much to do in the world. We know that with things that are going on in the world right now when it comes to as we are as a society and equality and everything. So there's obviously still a lot more work to do. But where do you kind of see the group going in the coming years?
Yeah, we've got quite a lot of plans. I think bigger block bookings is then the first step, more people wanting to come to games with us. And that will just, I think, organically, quite naturally grow. We've got some sort of events lined up in the future, sort of maybe just opening people's eyes to maybe like a careers event, to what women can be doing in football. It doesn't have to just be on the pitch. There are so many opportunities there. And then more female supporters groups. I'd really, really like to see that, just so that more and more women can see that there's a space for them in that stadium.
I think Kate really has covered all the main issues. You know, she's really set a trail of other groups to come.
I really hope so.
Amazing. Right, let's get some more people involved. Tell us how we can do that. How can we get involved, and that fellow females can join the group? Yeah,
so on Facebook, if you just search for Women of Watford FC, a group will come up. We are a private group, so you just have to request to join, and you can come on into the wonderful community that is there. And then we're on social media, on Instagram at Women of Watford FC, and on Twitter at WOW Watford FC.
Perfect. Thank you so much for what you're doing. It's incredible to see. The reception is amazing. So please continue all that great work. And as always, if there's anything we can do here on Inside the Hive to help, please just let us know.
No, thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.